You need to make up your freaking mind.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Are
you.
we? Are you live?
Yeah.
I thought it was 11:15. My bad.
Oh no, you're fine.
So
Okay.
you changed it now. We're back to 11.
I don't know where you been, Gina. Can everyone help Gina and
I'll be
maybe
right there. Hold on.
send her the videos from last week? Not last week, but previous weeks where we changed the time. I know we probably changed the time a few times. So it's completely understandable. Three Diamonds has been running the ship, so you never know. Sorry for the dog. I'm in a different location this week. I guess a little bit of transparency. I've been kind of moving home to home. I've been Airbnbs past few months. So I'm in a new location. It's a dog scared the heck out of me last night. Oh, what's going on, Will?
Hey, not much. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing pretty good. I did invite Donna, but I don't know if she's going to make it. I think she had a reading, I think.
Oh, no worries.
No,
Good, more the merrier, right?
yeah, I was letting everyone know in case she popped in as well.
Sure. That's good. How did you enjoy this past week with this Mars and Venus conjunction on the 22nd and Aquarius? That falls around in somebody's chart, I know, but it's anybody, chart will have Aquarius, everybody, but that was a interesting day. I could say so for myself. Had an let me get it together. Interesting event that day. I had reconnected with a person that I haven't saw in over 40 years. So it was pretty astounding. And I guess that would be a blindsided with that Mars and Venus conjunction too on last week around the 22nd, 23rd, approximately around that. You can look at any one of them days as the effect was still in there. And we give a shout out to all the people, especially I think Brenda subscribed to my channel, and I believe Eden. So thank you. Appreciate y'all, and anybody else that hasn't continued. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to Rashad's channel, please make it so.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. Make sure you go to Will's page, hit those like buttons as well. Get his likes up. And pretty sure he's going to be dropping some new material coming up. We took a break for a while, I guess. I think from posting up videos I seen. So I seen you just posted up another one the other day.
Yes.
The Mars Venus conjunction for me that would have been for everyone. I guess it would have been Tuesday or
yeah, it was on your part day, I believe, I'm not mistaken, on the Three of Diamonds day, no less.
well, I can't. I do remember that day pretty well. And
I would say do tell, but we try to keep it on the low here, especially. Yeah. But I understand.
Let's keep it for the kids, as Donna would say.
Well, interesting stories, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did meet some people, out and about. I guess the attraction and the essence of love was in the air. I was traveling a little bit, so I was
okay, good for you.
So I was out meeting some new people. Maybe have some future activities lined up, hopefully. But I'm in LA. People can be, people can meet you one minute, and then if they have a mutual interests or mutual set of values that they can use you for, I ain't gonna say use you for, but y'all can with or on, you're more heightened to maybe have lasting relationships. But it's also a two of diamonds state, they say, as well.
Oh, okay. Good, 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 good.
Yeah.
Well, that's the moon card for you. And there's Don. I was going to say Don. Gina.
Hello, hello. I'm here. I was here. I was trying to get breakfast situated for my little one.
I
I was
understand.
moving around a lot, so I was like, let me mute and come off camera so that I'm not
Okay.
out.
No worries. Take your time. All right.
How's you guys doing? How's everybody doing?
Oh, we're doing good. At least I can speak for myself. Rashad said he's got some new adjustments that he's going through right now. I thought it was interesting as well. Um, and we were just talking about the Mars Venus conjunction on the 22nd, which was on the Three of Diamonds day.
Which
So I
is
said,
interesting too, because it's an 8 of Hearts week, and doesn't the 8 of Hearts transform into a 3 of Diamonds?
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
I love
And
how it lines up. Like that's how I see everything. Like how it all connects to both the cards and astrology, and how it shows up in that space. Which we can, when you look at the 8 of Hearts itself, it is a very big love card, and a lot of emotional healing that can happen when you really see that it. Because if you're looking at Mars and Venus, those are our inner planets. So it comes from within. Right, that infinite love that the 8 of Hearts brings, that infinite love power, and a lot of healing that it can bring. And so I think the biggest thing to take away from that is, having that infinite energy for yourself first and foremost, and then it kind of protrudes into the relationships that you have with other people.
absolutely. It's so amazing how the eights in general have that power with them. So it's with the emotional ties or powerful love expression of the eights of heart. But the eight of hearts too, I can see some points. I know that their Mercury card is the six of clubs. But I like the fact that, well, I ain't gonna say I like it, but I'm fascinated about the fact that their Jupiter card is the 10 of clubs. And I thought that was inspirational power of persuasion, as they've been termed as one of the gigolos or playboys or playgirls, from that there. But I thought also interesting
Because they can talk a lot of shit.
well, such is life, right? I think they may go to toe with a jack of diamonds. No shade to them, but I'm just saying it's just that it comes with the territory. The first thing I think Robert Camp, in his love cards, he does give a kind of his view and seeing how the emotional ties and how they learn early in life that they can actually maneuver or navigate. I'm going to be very tactful on that one there. So in life. So I think that was interesting. And, of course, it's a Jupiter Neptune card, right? So they is beneficial for them, but they can be the art. I think that there's, piggybacking on your point, that it can be points of delusion of Neptune, or it can be enhancement or enticement, other point of Neptune as well. But it can be beneficial of attraction with Jupiter, and Neptune has that association by fascinating or glamour, and that all that doesn't glitter is gold, right? Or does glitter is not gold. So I see that aspect of it, and then because it's on the Jupiter column, it starts off as the Mars column and Jupiter column and the Saturn column. Those are the only ones that have that extra layer on top going to crown card. So it's fascinating how you start off with the 8 of hearts and it ends up with the 8 of diamonds, and then in the spiritual spread, it transforms into an 8 of clubs, which is again their Jupiter card. So I just thought that was an interesting point that you brought out too. Just wanted to elaborate that.
No, I mean, they have the Queen of Hearts and Mars. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know they can turn that on. Because I had a few 8 of Hearts in my life, and when I look back, I look at their energy and how they were, and it's a fun energy. It can be very playful. I remember when I first got into this space and how I would see the 8 of Hearts. It's like a big hug. it's like when you rest your head like on that chest, and it just feels good when it's at its highest. The other side of that, though, we know it can manipulate. Like, it's very persuasive. It knows how to turn on that, what I call Rico Suave energy, right? And it can get what it wants. That's the thing. It sits in a Neptune line, and it's Mars is in Neptune, or it's the Queen of Hearts. So it knows. And that's the thing with the 8, I think energy is, you have to, like, you don't have to force. It's a very attractive energy. So when you can actually operate from a space of grace and a space of already fulfilled, and you're not trying to force or control or manipulate something or someone, it'll come to you naturally. That's a very alluring and drawing energy, I feel. And I think if people, how do I make this thing go away? Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to, whatever. It knows how to just draw you in, and it can be a lot of love, a lot of healing, a lot of cleansing. It's in that space because, again, you have to see yourself as that infinite source and really turn all that attraction back into yourself too. I like the energy. I like data.
And it said that vitality of a cup that runneth over, that the energy of life is so vital that it runneth over to other people, kind of like what Gina was saying, that it has so much love that it has enough to give to other people, and that power of love can influence other people, and has a essence of healing as well, like you said, like a big hug, like essence of touching, loving, maybe even dealing with your health, dealing with other people that can be emotionally down. But also in a sense, even though it has an expansive energy, Jupiter and Neptune, there could be depression that takes place, and for them, it can be very important to protect yourself or protect your own emotional, the points of depression, the points of not feeling worthy enough. But all that comes from within, how you see yourself within, how you feel within. If you're not feeling good, then you can't really help nobody to heal nobody. Even though that process of going through that process can maybe help you later on from your experiences, and like you said, I think what comes from that, when you desire certain things, they have 2 6s and a Queen of Hearts. So maybe marriage or relationships or something, pleasurable, or having the house that they want, or having the relationship, or just having the car they want, something of value. The Queen of Hearts definitely turns into the 7 of Diamonds, which is all things we value. We all find to fall in love with whatever we value. Maybe it's physical, objective, or emotional, or a person, place, a thing. Whatever you have deemed that's valuable to you, you tend to fall in love with it, So using your emotions or whatever it is to gain or get that thing that you value, it can be either on the high side or low side. It can be manipulative, or it can be with a passion of love where you want to take care of it. You want to nurture it in whatever way that you want to show that you value that thing that you have fell in love with. So the manipulation and the depression comes in when you don't get the things you want, or be able to attain the things you love.
Yeah, I agree. And the Queen of Hearts too, there's that, again, like the pleasure and the passion that they have. I think they have a strong passion for family, because that's a mothering, taking care of, nurturing. The 8 of Hearts woman that I knew a long time ago, let me tell you, you walk in her house and she got a whole spread of food. I loved every bit of it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, feed me, please. And it was good food. So, I mean, and that was almost like her love language. And I get that too, because I'm the same way. You come, I'm going to have food. And that was a really, and her and I were super, super close. Like, I loved her energy. But I also could, once I started to get into these cards, I remember, like, I could see, I was like, oh, I see how she would play this, because she could be very persuasive and manipulative. And she would do it with, like, here, you want some food? So it was a fun energy. And then I remember I worked with a guy who was the 8 of Hearts, and he had this, adorableness about him. Like, he was just, he was funny and he was goofy. And so when I found out his card, I was like, this makes so much sense. You know what I mean? And the 8 of Hearts, even aesthetically, if they aren't, what some people consider, appeasing, they have this nature to them. Like I said, it feels like a hug. And you know, that was kind of how I felt with both of them, because I got to see the woman 8 of Hearts and a male 8 of Hearts. And you know, the guy that I worked with, he was just such a, and even though he wasn't maybe like physically alluring, his nature made you want to be like, he just felt like good to be near. You know what I mean? Like there was a genuine, like, I care about you, and he cared about other people. You could see it. So it's definitely an interesting energy for sure.
It is. And on a personal note too as well, I grew up with 8 of Hearts, but I dealt with the December 23rd, which is the planetary rulers, the 8 of Diamonds. So again, that was that air 8 squared. I like to put it in that way there. So he actually has, and still to this day, you know, outside of the 8 of Hearts, his power of persuasion or gift to gab, so to speak, is real alluring. But it's like it's astrologically, I can see other things because, you know, this is a Capricorn now, and that brings another shade to that, you know, a layer, how they're operating. So I like that part there. And it is a point that I think that you can be over. Sometimes it depends. And see, I'm going to say overwhelmed, or sometimes you can be the nemesis. Now, the nemesis card, irony, is the Jack of Heart, because it's the Saturn on the vertical stretch, and on the spiritual, it's the Mars to them. So I can see that keynote idea that you can see a different perspective from there. For me, is not actually, it's a Venus card for me. So I can see that on the spiritual spread there, you know. So in retrospect, I do see now, looking back, reflecting, because mainly I interpret his actions from an astrological point of view. But they are gifted in that sense, that how they can flow with that. And some of them discover it very early in life, like Robert Camp say. But now again, we have the 8 and 8s in general, no matter what suit they are. You want to look at astrologically 3 variations, and that usually goes to the rule of thumb. If you're looking at cards and numbers in certain form, you're looking at the 8th house in the person's chart, and then you're looking at Pluto in the person's chart, and you're looking at Scorpio. You're looking at those where, and Kemp put it eloquently, how those two interchange. Now, what's going on with them astrologically in those 3 particular areas, you might find very extraordinary. Well, but 8s, as they say, 8th house, actually deals with other people's resources.
And it's now, intimacy, right? It's intimacy. It's connecting with others, you know, and I think you can see that with that 8 of Hearts energy for sure.
Yeah, and the intimacy works, but more or less, I'm looking at the plane from the financial point there, because when I look at 8s and numerically, it's a 8, it's a Saturn. See, so Saturn governs that, you know, structural, how we perceive reality and so forth. So further that, 8s may come in control or contact into inheritance, estate planning, or in some way connected people of power and authority too. So that's what I'm saying. Now, how they get there, again, intimacy, that could be also intimacy, but it can be just the attraction that's going out. Again, we have the Jupiter-Neptune card itself. So just put that spin on it too as well.
And it can also be family, friends, or anything, you know, as far as inheritance. And Gina was saying intimacy, marriage. A lot of times I think this card, get into relationships. And when you get into relationships, you know, you share a home, you share a car, you know, there's some type of shared resources that you have. So within
there you go.
You looking at the things that you all, you know, share within your living situation or your relationship, those things that you value, and that gift of gab, right? Getting what you want, being manipulative. But that's the 6 of Clubs, Mercury, and the 6 of Clubs, if you look at it, has the 2 of Diamonds, Mercury, right? So you're looking at contracts, you know, what did we agree to share while we're here? You know, what were the things that we have we're obligated to share and compromise, you know. Looking at the 8 of Hearts, as I was reading earlier, We were talking about a compromise. I think last week I opened up and saying the Seven of Hearts, as far as sacrifice, isn't the best card as far as sacrifice, and I may have by experience, and that's not to say and not to get that mixed and screwed. I wasn't saying that card isn't going to sacrifice. I was trying to say that it sacrifices so much that forcing it to sacrifice or doing things against its will is the worst thing, because because eights want freedom. The Seven of Hearts want control of their material things that they value. One thing about the Seven of Hearts, has 7 of diamonds Mercury, and it has a 2 of diamonds in the cosmic moon. So sharing resources is inevitable. And also looking at how your partner shows up financially. Are they sacrificing anything financially? Because 7 of diamonds is what some people in astrology may consider a detriment, or something depreciation, or something. You drive a car for a lot and it depreciates right after. And everyone isn't going to value the same things you value, right? So with that could be a loss of value somewhere. Looking at trying to gain something that you value. So with the 8 of Hearts and the 7 of Hearts, you have a diamond supporting the Mercury for the 8 of Hearts, and the diamond in Mercury for the 7 of Hearts. And then the 8 of Hearts has, as you was talking about earlier, has that Saturn, the 8 of diamonds. So there's some diamonds kind of very close by in prominent positions for both cards. So when you talk about relationships, things that we both value, partnerships, sharing things that's valuable, there could be compromise, within a relationship or within a situation. And as I was saying earlier, the 7 of Hearts, I wasn't trying to say that sacrificing or compromising themselves, they can't, but they seem to have to always do that, and they don't like to do that, So for the 8 of Hearts, you still have that same pattern, when it comes to the 8 of Hearts, a little bit from the 7 of Hearts to the 8 of Hearts, with the compromise, with having a partnership, having to come to an agreement. I always look at the 6 of Clubs, 2 of Diamonds as a contract of some sorts, something that's written is 2 of Diamonds transformed to a 3 of Clubs, which is writing. So with the 2 of Diamonds, 6 of Clubs, that gift of gab, if someone doesn't want to compromise, they're going to manipulate or be emotionally manipulative. One thing that I seen this week was a good example. Try to find highlights of examples throughout the week, but a woman was holding sex from her husband, and they ultimately ended up getting a divorce, So withholding things or using that emotional power or using someone's emotions against them for the things they want is also an essence of using or trying to get something of material value, 8 of diamonds and Saturn, and using the emotional power to either gain what you want or emotionally manipulate someone to get what you want, get something you want.
Interesting. Yeah, and also I discovered this more or less, not discovered, but shed light on it, is Ernst Wilhelm. And he would go through the kind of the pros and cons, if you will, of the different suits and how they manifest their behavioral mannerisms. And of course, from last week, attachment there is very crucial for everybody, but with hearts, they have to learn to be aware of that in their life, regardless of where their status. Hearts have that. But he said the thing with hearts, as we describe on the upside, yeah, they very, they can be very emotionally, have a rapport with people, easily to connect, and they look for that. But he says that on the flip side, the hearts have 2 modes of operation. They can be very loving, but if they don't get what they want, of course, we're the youngest, they switch it off and go cold.
Oh, savage.
So there's always, I'm sorry?
Straight savage. Let's be real. Let's not lie.
Well, yeah, and look at the child. It's primary core instinct of how they either want it, must have it, or hell breaks loose, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And he brought that out, and I said, wow, they have they'll have that ups and downs, so to speak. You can really tell emotionally where you stand with them. based off of that kind of contrast, if you will. So I thought that was interesting. And then what your point too, Gina, about intimacy, and I think it's fascinating you brought that up because their moon card is the 2 of spades, which is a companion number one, and also built on that with relating, how they, finesse that, if you will, with that relationship. Also, I always primarily like to say I always use the 2 side. We can look at this as a personal effort, looking at people relate, but also if you have any businesses, I'd be curious to see how their resources are shared if you're an 8 of heart business too as well. So I look at it just like astrologically.
Yeah, I mean, the hearts, like you said, like there's the element of the fun, the youthfulness, the playfulness, the love that comes from that. But that's the thing too. The other side, I agree with that. The other side of that is it can be very savage. Like if it's like, because if your feelings are hurt, ooh, you know what I mean? Like you better watch out because it is what it is. But you also, as you grow and you mature, I think that's the key is you don't resort back to the savagery, because that's like what is that, fatal attraction type stuff? You know what I mean? If I can't have you, no one else can, or, let me, like that type of, I can see that with the heart energy too, but again, as you mature and you grow, you realize, it's not, your feelings can't run everything. But yeah, the 8 of hearts is an interesting energy. And I thought it was really interesting how it transforms into a 3 of diamonds. And then to have that conjunction, and when you look at like even too the both of its Mercury and Venus being the 6s, there's this element of also having to take your time. You know what I mean? Not rushing into things, like really sitting with things. And also too, you're gonna get back what you put out with that energy. It's like matched. There's a sense of like matching that energy and a sense of being responsible. But we also know that the other side of those 6s is not being not being responsible, not taking accountability. So I can see how they can play, both sides of that.
Not becoming a victim,
Yeah.
as well. And so you have to take personal responsibility,
Yeah.
Looking at things, I always say the 7s are a mirror. You get what you give out. If you don't like what you see, what are you showing up as? So and the same thing with the 6s as well. So there's a immediate karma for the 6s. As much effort as you put in is only as much as you're going to get out. And so the expectations that may happen within those relationships, or the expectations that may happen whenever you're speaking to someone and expecting them to treat you like you want to be treated. And like you said, when the hearts don't get what they want, they can become tyrants sometimes.
Thanks, Rashad. Give up all the secrets now.
He's not lying though. He's not lying. Like, I have to be honest. He's not lying there.
Well, it wasn't me. Actually, I brought to my attention was Ernst Wilhelm, and he brought that out of attention. And being that he's 7 of clubs too. But again, 8s of hearts have those double 7s too. 7 of spades with the 7 of diamonds. So they really definitely have the karmatic point of understanding too on the spiritual realm that certain things need to be learned as well. And even in numerology, when they look at the book is called The Divine Triangle by Faith Tavain and Dusty Bunker. And they do analysis of not only the birth date, of course, all numerology can do that, but they do another perspective of looking at the name of the person. So when you see a repeated letter in a person's name, that period in their life is represented by each letter in your name, preferably your first name. Sometimes it goes, if it's short, it can go into the middle name, if one or the last name. But when they say that double number is what come up, there's always, like, so to speak, in 25 words, less trial and tribulations that have to be done. This lesson has to be done seriously over and over, repeat. Like the old saying, those who don't learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat it. That comes to my mind frequently with that there as well.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? 6 right off the bat, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not learning, it can be seemingly like deja vu. Usually they say, I don't know what it is about the two of diamonds, and 6 of clubs. A lot of times that they have they say a karma between their parents. I think, a certain amount
Interesting.
of not repeating history, or not repeating those same mistakes, and learning from your mistakes. So gaining wisdom, learning, sitting down, taking time to observe. And I think 6s comes with reflection, and letting things go that may not suit you no more, so for that personal development. Also with the 8 of Hearts, I want to go to that Queen of Hearts as well. Someone was talking about the stomach and the lining of the stomach and the cosmic mother. And also someone was talking about their mother being somewhat having the emotional, having to deal with the emotions, as when they were a child, mom was physically abusive. And look at the 8 of Hearts, it has the Queen of Hearts and Mars, so that could be abusing your love or using the power of love in an abusive way. I think we made a post, and sometimes Nick refers to Mother Dearest a lot, and we kind of look at that as the 9 of diamonds, who actually has the Queen of Hearts and the moon. So what is about this Queen of Hearts, that can be, or you can see someone using just as much as the 8 of Hearts, their love, as far as being a tyrant or emotionally manipulative, or like the Queen, off with their heads,
Very demanding too. The Queen energy is it can be very demanding. I feel like too that energy is, high standards, and if you don't meet the standards, that maybe could be where the tyrant comes in and the abusive comes in. The 8 of Hearts. Now, the woman that I know wasn't physically abusive to her kids, but she knew how to manipulate. She mentally, she messed with them there. Like, she never probably put her hands on them, but like I remember one time them telling me a story about how she took all the baby doll heads off her daughter's dolls. Like as a way to like punish her or to like threaten her in some way. It was like, I was like, dang, that's kind of like, that's mean. I'd rather you probably hit me, because at least that'd be over. But you like ripped all my baby doll heads off or whatever and like lined them up. Savage.
Savage, right?
Kind of savage, you know what I mean? But that, that's that Queen of, I think that's that Queen of Hearts in Mars.
And no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine with it. Go ahead.
No, I was saying also your description, and as well as Gina, when you're talking about referring to the Queen of Heart, what flashes into my mind is, if anybody want to see a different perspective of what you're talking about, or not really different, but get a little bit more visual or optics on that, look out or revisit Alice in Wonderland. And you'll see the Queen of Heart there in their character, and you'll see a lot of information to what you're bringing forth to as well. That's just my little tidbit.
Sure, it reminds me very much of Alice in Wonderland.
I haven't watched. I'll be talking about people refer movies and what they see, but I'm not the best. I don't watch movies too much, so that's the one reason that I need to look at and study things a little bit more and get these references as well to expand my knowledge. So thank you all who do send me things or refer to things, and will. It seems to be a very well researched or observative, making observations as far as what he sees in real life film and those things as well. So appreciate the insight, Will. I believe in that movie they had cars in Alice in Wonderland, did they not? I do remember that. I do.
Oh yeah. And the thing about it, I think if you look at this, different versions of it, but the one that I'm referring to, give you another clear cut, is Johnny Depp is in this one here. And that's that Queen of Hearts. You'll see that. You'll see all the hearts, the Jack. You'll see the the king too as well. And see, and at that point, interesting. I don't want to give too much try because it's worth looking at this to observe and looking from a different perspective. Is you're looking at it from this here. The king was almost dormant during that, right? And that's all I'm going to say. But when you look at the card, the King of Hearts, the other kings have armor and the King of Hearts doesn't. Mm-hmm. And then also the character of what they show, either by design or happy coincidence. The King of Heart is the youngest looking one out of all the kings. And when you look at that, what I'm just saying there, you'll see another point there referencing to as well.
It's that heart energy. We look like we keep a kid mentality and a kid face.
Exactly. You always see, and you're like, I mean, not anything else, Gina, but you remind me so as a personified heart because you very much jovial and you're very much gathering. You have an upbeat tip, and so you definitely epitomize.
I'm a Toys R Us kid. I will stand on that to the death of myself. I will stand. I am a Toys R Us kid from through to through, baby, through to through. Because this,
well,
that's the only way. To me, I have to. I guess maybe I have to see it that way. For my own peace.
You are what you are.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I very much like to. I'm very much a kid mentality. I think it frustrates the hell out of a lot of people too, but I don't care.
Well, they envy you or love you or they're jealous. That's the.
I do not care.
It kind of me. Remember that picture? I can't remember the name, but Tom Hanks was in it. And the one that he was like in FLA sports and he would jump. That's what reminds me too when I see that kind of heart energy.
That's me. All. I would definitely be jumping all over. Are you kidding me? That's me. That's one of my favorite movies. Like for real. I love it.
Hey, well, that, and then of course,
he in the beginning, doesn't he go to like a fortune teller, like a tarot reader, like that machine, and then
you know what?
He does. Yes. I think it's Zogart or something like that.
Yeah, Zogart, it's called Big. Maybe. It's Big. The movie, I believe, is called Big, right?
That's it.
Yeah, and they do the dun 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 dun. I love that movie. I love that
movie. So I went to that fortune teller is one in Santa Monica. Actually, is it Santa Monica or like in Santa Monica, I believe. There's another beach here right beside Santa Monica, but yeah, there's one on the Strip, and also one in New York. My first one actually was in New York, and then I seen the one in Santa Monica. But
you talking about FLA Schwartz toys, or are you talking about something else?
The fortune teller
thing, right? Telling machine in the movie Big.
Oh, you talking about
him at the fair?
Yeah, because he was at the store that's now defunct. Well, not it's been taken over and remerged, but FOA Schwartz show it's a toy store, and it's like it was the original one before we even had Toys R Us. And I was fortunate during the time growing up in there to actually visit it. So it's like Gina says, if you're a heart at hearts, then you would love to be there and spend the night. Almost like similar to just having, like looking at the picture, Toy Story. But anyway, that's enough for me reminiscing.
I love like the balls that you can jump into. Like that to me is like the best time of my life. Like,
oh my God.
I'm really a big kid, y'all. You would have to drag me out of a place like that for real. Where is Gina? She's still in the
Understood. Oh my God.
That's my idea of a good time.
Really? That's mine too. Hands up.
So simple.
Can't agree with you more.
So that's if
I could have my own little like Wonderland, I would have a ball pit. That's the funniest shit ever. It would be so much fun.
Oh my God.
So they have you in Saturn. The Eight of Hearts have you vertically Saturn And I was speaking to someone about the vertical cards, and it showed up for someone in their Saturn card. You know, and I think they had a King of Hearts Saturn and a Nine of Hearts Saturn, and they end up injuring their leg from a guy that fell on them.
What?
Yeah.
Sound like a strong Saturn transit on them, falling or something, falling injured and bones. Yeah, that's interesting.
In that Saturn
perfect. You know, that's a perfect example because you said it was in Saturn, and Saturn, as well as the Capricorn, we know is anatomically does deal with the bones and teeth and structure. So the breaking or fracture is a Saturnian thing. So you would see that thing, and it's also one of the key words. Falling or fall is a Saturn thing too, as well. So I think that uncanny how things work together like that.
Yep.
So vertically, how do you all look at the vertical cards? Because one was the underlining cards, and actually the King of Hearts showed male doctor as well with that in that Saturn period. So we were talking about earlier the Eight of Diamonds Saturn for the Eight of Hearts, of course. So shared resources, gaining resources, working your butt off for things as well. You know, there's I wouldn't say there's much rest in Neptune, but it's no like leeway for laziness dealing with the Eight of Diamonds. But also with that, I think eight has a way of gaining power and gaining things, but a lot of times I don't think it's for them necessarily for their own selfish needs. So to have an Eight of Diamonds and Saturn, and then have a Jack of Hearts vertical Saturn, which the Eight of Diamonds transform into the Jack of Hearts, is like all the things you've gained, you may have to give to other people in some type of unselfish way. So within, you know, the hearts can like I said, can sometimes give off being selfish because they have their own emotional needs, but there's not really a leeway to be selfish, I don't think. Or how y'all see the Jack of Hearts being vertical, which can be a sacrifice dealing with children or people younger than you. Like Gina says, she wants to be a kid. So,
well, I could see that showing up as like where they could be successful, maybe, you know, working with children, whether it's, you know, in the form of therapy, in the form of some kind of healing. Also, though, they're, you know, with the Jack of Hearts being the supporting card to the Eight of Diamonds and Saturn, again, their purpose has to be for a higher reason. If they want that financial success, it can't be greedy. It can't be materialistic. It has to be for a higher purpose. That's when I think they can that's when I think they can transform into that Three of Diamonds, really have as much as they really want when it's coming from a genuine place, not a forceful place or a place of control or a place of like having to dominate others or be greed. Because of the Eight of Diamonds on the other side, there's some greed to that. But see, the Jack of Hearts being a selfless energy, they're not operating out of greed. They're operating for a higher purpose. So when they operate from that higher purpose, I feel like Saturn will reward them with as much resources and financials that they need to achieve the things that they want. I look at it as a supporting energy.
Yes, and just to add that, I look at that with the Eight of Diamonds to them on vertical is the Neptune card. So we know that when Neptune is involved, it's something that we very much have a clear handle on, something that we may be idealized or we may just be, you know, just in point of this denial of that. And the significance is about it. That is, I don't look as extremist as that, of course, because the reason why, this is a vertical Jupiter line, so there is beneficiary fact in time, and like you said, Rashad, eights and associate with Saturn, it is about time. It's about longevity. It's about structured ways of performing or process of going through the thing, right? So with that eight up there in a Neptune line, yes, they could have the potential of doing that, but maybe they don't want to. And for any reason, Neptune evolved can be misleading to them. But it's actually, you know, quite interesting how it interplays. Now with the Jack of Hearts, like you're saying with Saturn, oh, awesome. I think, you know, it's kind of like there is because they are both hearts, right? And one is actually a face card and one is a number card, 8. So anytime I see a face card on the life spread in there, where that is somewhere element of they have powerful energy that can be used against them if they're not willing to accept the responsibility to use it, or they can embrace themselves and have power over that. So eventually I see that. The Jack also solar value is 11. So I would imagine, so just like, you know, the 8's solar value is 8. So I would figure that at point when I see certain cards connect in their life spread, I look at the solar value to see a correspondence in somewhere in their life, especially the moon card, have some type of value in there. I noticed, I have seen that kind of effect in a person's life when you track back on this. So that's just my point about that. And then I have another point of view when it talks about the cross. They say, there are more than one type of cross, first thing. Second thing, the cross that they're referring to is what they call a Latin cross, Latin. But there's another cross that is apparent, and it's called the equilateral cross, which means all angles of the sides of the street is all equal. And that's the 10 of diamonds. So there's two crosses I see in there, but preferably I think of that because of the cultural enrichment we have from being in a society that dominates right currently, because even the founding fathers were not Christians, believe it or not. But right now it seems to be, this is one of the dominant, they use that association. So these are the things I look at in comparison. And that's one of the reasons I do go back and look at the Sacred Symbols of the Ancient by Edith Randall and Florence Campbell. And that's one of the books I preferably going back to and stretch from. And of course, that was written in 1947. And the language and everything going in, but it's a very phenomenal book full of gems. In fact, I think I posted it on my IG account as well, saying the book. And then I topped it with that, if you look at it, is the ephemeries. So I do coordinate that. That was just more of a symbolic gesture, I would say, and coordinating the planetary energies, because they do specify that in Sacred Symbols of the Ancients. They do correspond with the number, and then also the planetary energy of that card, you know, so.
Well, you can see it, you know, I've done a lot of research with the astrological, like you can see it in that too, like the house, the degree, all of it is in there, you know, all of it is. When you really start to dissect your card spread, your life spread, and your natal chart, you can see a lot of the connection, and not just the actual direct card, but also the supporting card, the challenging karma card. You'll see, like, you know, for instance, my Mercury card is the 9 of clubs, right? Well, my Mercury is in Leo, but it's also in whole sign. It's in the 6th house. Well, look what I'm about to touch the screen. The 6 of diamonds supports that 9 of clubs, 6th house. So there's a sense of duty, a sense of responsibility. So yeah, you know, I like to take those two and put them together, because you can really get a lot of insight. And it's not just the direct card; it's the challenging karma card, the vertical supporting karma card as well. And then when you're talking about the vertical cards, yes, if I'm looking at for like a yearly read, or even the weekly reads that I do, it's a very strong supporting energy to the direct card that's there. A lot of times it shows up as a person, you know what I mean? Like I've had it where someone, you know, I remember there's something so specific. There's a friend that called me. I haven't talked to this person in a really long time, and they were like my vertical Mercury card, and what they called me about was direct related to the direct card. So it was fascinating how that plays out. A lot of times you'll see the vertical card as a person is coming in to probably support that direct card energy, or whatever that direct card is, depending on what placements it's in. But yeah, you can connect the degrees, the houses, all into every single card, and even the verticals in your natural life spread too.
Sure, absolutely. And that's one of the things, the key point that what the Sacred Symbols of the Ancient point that out, deliver it, because here's the other catch to it. Though Edith Randall was an astrologer, and actually Florence Campbell was a numerologist. So they, you know, conspired from their teacher to put these together. So this emphasis wasn't actually, because I don't look at anything as random, we shouldn't at that point, coincidence. So yes, this was a correspondence. That's one of the reasons I referenced that book, because of that. And they was the one that actually took some of the interpretations or some of this understanding from the Mystic textbook. Now, the Mystic textbook by Richmond Oney, it's definitely chock full of nuts when it comes to astrological relate, but it goes into other aspects, of course. It actually is a spread. When you're doing a spread, there's a particular instance where it refers to the alignment of the rotation of the planets at the time of that spread in correlation.
Yeah, so it's like a circle cloth, a certain type of cloth. I seen it. Someone had it, and you go based on what's happening astrologically now, and he'll lay out the cards over each particular planetary placement, depending on the 12 signs of where a particular placement is, and he goes about his reading by doing it that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. Phenomenal. Yeah, all of them. Even Ernst. That's no big secret, and that's nothing that's a singularity that anybody observed. But the more that you actually explore, you will see the correlations of that, because astrology permeates. If you take it as a system itself, you can use that by far, as well as palmistry, the correlations to many things on there, even to geographical locations and how this chart expands on astral relocation. You can actually correlate to that astrology to meteorology, which is another form of astrometeorology. That's another form too. The correspondence of everything on that is astrology. It broadens the whole spectrum, but particularly with reference, bringing the conversation back to the cards. Yes, that correlation is a key element. Once somebody discovers that, they can utilize it and the envelopment, or extrapolate, if you will, from the cards and go into the chart. Now, the charts can go even to another level, because it's astrology on different levels. There's various other things in there that you will explore. Like we had talked to one time earlier, 3 videos about the vertex and so forth, how to look at that and the relationship of the chart and how that's calculated, and house systems as well. There's variations in how that came into formation. Like again, Ra Cool will have a beautiful presentation, but again, I love about the calendar, which he brought. One is either on IG or maybe Brother Rich show. He went into the calendar, which is another asset that corresponds, that I like about that. For instance, the 13 cards, starting from your birth card, your Mercury card, to your 13th card, corresponds to the moon, and the moon relevance that it has 13 lunations per year. So you're going to have a month once a year that's going to be a double full moon, which they refer to as a blue moon. So you see the correlations that in Chinese astrology, they use that as well. And I'll leave it at that.
Someone asked about, so also I want to add to, Gina was talking about the vertical cards. I always say like person, place, or things, a lot of times, and like I don't know, like your adverbs would be your challenging comma cards, that may describe how those particular things or things react. And I believe, like I refer to your direct cards as like your verbs, like what you're doing. It can also be another person, a place, or thing that can maybe influence what you're doing as well. So how are you taking about how you're responding about around those your environment, your physical environment, and how you responding maybe mentally or physically about those particular things, from a psychological standpoint. But I had another question. Someone asked about the moon card, or the cosmic moon, in relationship to the 8 of hearts. How does that 5 of clubs relate to the 8 of hearts? And I know we've spoken about the clubs and the importance of the clubs, and especially for the 8 of hearts. It has a 6 of clubs, Mercury, 10 of clubs, Jupiter, actually Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus. Neptune is the three of hearts, so it's reward card is the eight of clubs, and then and have a ace
of clubs, queen of clubs.
Yeah, ace
Yeah.
of clubs and queen of clubs,
Queen
and
of
then it
clubs.
has the five of clubs in the moon. So there's a lot of clubs over there, and very important rewarding positions, I would say. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. Yeah, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Mars. Yeah, Jupiter as the reward, and also the moon. So we're talking about the eight of hearts, how it can be a tyrant, but I think the education, soothing of the mind, meditation, those things, and expanding mentally as well, using different techniques, exploring different spiritual things. Gina was talking about the eight of hearts earlier. I forgot what you said exactly, but what made me think about the seven of spades, with the way that it uses, their emotional power, I think was something that I got from what you said. Using the spiritual, you were talking about the spiritual aspects of it, so the spirituality aspect. So using not being selfish, so using the spiritual application, but also understanding what those spiritual applications is by learning and expanding its mental capabilities, I think, and knowing how to use their gift, the gab, as Will was saying, that six of clubs, getting what they want, negotiating, partnering, but also taking that and maybe educating and using it to other people. But what do you all see as far as that six of clubs and that, or mainly that five of clubs? I know I jumped everywhere, but that five of clubs in the moon, how would they look to that or possibly use that?
I think for that being their cosmic moon, they have to really be able to, because I feel like too, sometimes the eight with the two sixes off the rip can be stuck a little, stuck in their ways, stuck in how they do, stuck in how they operate. So that five is asking them to unstick themselves. And because it's the cosmic moon, there's emotional energy behind that. So one of the best things they could probably do is express how they feel. But they may be confused on how they feel, because with five energy, there's this sense of not knowing, having a little bit of uncertainty. There's that restlessness, and their mood probably changes a lot with that five of clubs, and they have to be able, I feel like having an outlet is going to be key with that energy, having some kind of expressive outlet, a creative outlet. I found with the eight of hearts that I knew when she was busy, she felt like when she was like taking care of a bunch of things, it almost made her feel like she was on point. You know what I mean? I never really saw her not doing a lot. And I can see that being that five of clubs, like doing a lot, but also again, really being able to articulate how they feel and not kind of give you the runaround. Because the five of clubs can, kind of not be straightforward with what they're trying to say. It can kind of come off, in different ways. So yeah, I think that's a very needing to express. And also too, I feel like with the five of clubs being their cosmic moon, when they are exploring, when they are traveling, when they are in a different space, in a different scenario or different scenery, then they may feel more at ease, right? Able to kind of come out of the stuck energy that they have with their Mercury and their Venus being sixes. So exploring and traveling and really kind of being able to see things from a different point of view would help them with that five of clubs, especially being able to express how they feel.
Do you want to say anything, Will?
For the lack of, for me, I don't look at, this is me, I don't see it as a cosmic moon. I appreciate the value and how to use it, but I only use a different system which doesn't incorporate. So, I love your expert. I think y'all covered it as well. There's nothing more I can add to that.
Okay. Yeah. And also, like Gina was saying, with the three of diamonds following right up after that, right? So using the variety, the variety of exploring different ideas, finding different ways, exploring, but then having the three of diamonds follow right after that five of clubs is like you said, looking at things a different way, because the three of diamonds, you're gonna see the options, so after a while, after you explore, you see you have options, being creative, using those ideas, using the ability or the information you have, and applying it in a different creative way, thinking outside of the box from what you may be normally thinking. Like you were saying, from going from a fixed or stagnant state or point, to having or seeing a different way, seeing a different option, that can to a space by pushing behind it as the other moon card. I always see that as getting or seeking advice on the two of spades, nine of hearts. That connection is the connection I think of advisors, or having people that you can bounce ideas off of, someone you can talk to. That's the thing about partnerships. They say two minds are better than one, right? So once you have that different perspective out of things, and once you be able to see different things, five looks to the four corners as well, looking for a different way to do things, like Gina was saying. So once you have that ability, now you can create a different type of way, using that financial creativity or using that point of creativity to come up with a solution, maybe something that you didn't think of before, something that was holding you back. Like we were saying, that you can be so emotionally stagnant or selfish almost in a way, that you can seek or want things to be your way. But ultimately, you have transformed into a three of diamonds. So there's going to be some form of opportunity, options, or that can come up that you probably didn't think of as an option before, because now you're open, you're more creative, you're finding different ways, you're thinking outside of the box. Went to school or whatever it may be, or you got some advice from someone or something that allows you to open up and use the other forms of your creative willpower and to get what you want, or maybe having to compromise a little bit, but ultimately there's different way to do things. I'm sitting in the six of hearts house as a three of diamonds. So you have those sixes, and then you transform to a three of diamonds that who has a challenge six of hearts. So ultimately, there's some compromising creativity, a point of creativity that you have to have. Like I said, three of diamonds. I think a lot of times I do want things a certain way. I do hope for things, and it happens, but maybe not in the way that I thought it was. There's maybe a little bit of compromise within my relationships that I have to have sometimes, which I can say that I fought against. So, of course, the eight it has that those two sevens. So there's a internal conflict, I think, as well, that comes with that card. So overcoming that internal conflict probes to some creativity that may have to come about from the way that you do things ultimately.
And what I found really fascinating when you look at how a lot of the sevens and the eights, like the eight of hearts has the seven of hearts, the seven of spades, the seven of hearts has the eight of hearts, the seven of diamonds transforms into an eight. You see the connectedness of it. The seven of clubs, the eight of diamonds, the seven of spades, the eight of hearts. And I when I looked at three of the four sevens all transform into eights, I was like, that's pretty relevant and powerful to look at, because the sevens are that inside out type energy. It's an internal thing. You set that tone. It's your internal beliefs or attraction. And so with the eights being an infinite source, you're either going to be, because remember, the sevens don't have that gray area. It's either this or that. It's either faith or fear. It's either yes or no, up, down, however you want to look at it. Right. Mm-hmm. And if the eights if they transform into eights, and I look at the transformation card as a way of healing any kind of the wounds that we came here with, then you have to, take accountability, right, with that seven energy, because it is an inside out job, and you're going to be an infinite source of whatever you choose to operate from, that faith or that fear, that up, down, abundance or lack, prosperous or prosperity or poverty, so, and even with the seven of clubs transforming into that eight of diamonds, or no, not, it transforms to the eight of hearts. It, there's that essence of that internal voice that comes with the seven of clubs, and can they operate from the high side? And a lot of times too, when they can let go of what they thought it was supposed to be and allow it to be what it is, they can really see that it was for their highest good, because that 8 comes in, and 8s represent a success, a victory, a win, and so really being able to not be attached to the things, to see that it was actually the best thing for you, and allowing that to take place. I think that's a big part of that energy, is they have to really see that it starts from within, and that even kind of goes for the 8 of hearts, because it's connected to those 7s so strongly that, again, that has to come with that 7 of hearts supporting it. That's where I think it can either operate from the force, which then would show you that it's operating from a space of lack, fear, not having enough, attachments, expectations, abandonment stuff, or it can operate from that grace of that infinite source of love that has to come from within, right? You can't put that on anybody else either. So when you have that, that's when I think the 8 of hearts is at its highest, because that's when it feels like that big hug. It's when it feels so good. Because it's such an exuberant amount of emotional energy that can be very healing, especially when it's coming from that space of abundance and non-attachment and an overflow, right? And I think that goes for all the 8s, because the 7s are so connected to them.
Yeah, that makes sense, because progressively the ladder spiraling up, the next
Right.
lesson up, it would be the 8. And secondly, the analysis is great too, because 7s use analysis. There's always a point to where they have to be a point of making a decision in their life. We all do, but it's more involved, and it's something that maybe reflect the point of stepping outside of the crowd. And 7s is connected with the spirituality, because it's one of the numbers that we see in life. We can look at the 7 colors. We can look at the 7 colors in the rainbow. There's the 7 seas. There's the 7 wonders. There's the 7 notes. So we can go on. And then the 7 is part of the other family. When I look at these spreads, it's odd numbers and even numbers. So the 7, the 5, and the 3, wherever that's placed in your life at that point, that energy of the 7 energy, what number it falls on, kind of displays what kind of changes and challenges they may have to confront, willingly or not. That's up to you, free will. But in the 7s, that is the point where there is a point that is a saying about 7 in numerology. A 7 is one of the numbers that can be alone in a crowd. So there is a point where they do have to be still or momentarily pause, and 7s bring pause. Or a similar analogy would be the crossroads and looking which way to go. Whether you take this road or that road significantly will impact you as meaningfully, and is what we're here to incorporate, me from my point of view. So anybody else, again, like I said, I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. It's what you embrace at that point. This is how I would define that as a 7. And I'll leave it at that.
No, I think that one of the biggest things with that 7 energy is the present, like you were saying, like that's key to that energy. Because again, it's that swing and it does present as a challenge, because what I've noticed with the 7 energy, when it comes around, stuff from the past comes up. You just be chilling, and all of a sudden now you're like, yes, you're got all this past stuff that just starts to bubble within, and you're like, okay, why am I, when you're aware. And that's the thing, is being aware of it when it happens, because most people are not. And so you're like, okay, why am I thinking like this? Why am I feeling like this? Or the opposite side of that is to be worried about stuff that hasn't even happened yet. You're going so far ahead, and all of those, both of those, take you out of the now, take you out of the present moment. And I think that is one of the most keyest things for the 7 energy, is to stay present. And you would think that that's really challenging, actually, for myself, or I'm sure other people, because we tend to go back, or we tend to worry about what hasn't happened yet, and we're out of the now, we're out of the moment. And I feel like that's the key to the 7 energy of being able to manifest, because when you're not in either of those spaces, you're only in the now. So now you're able to attract, you're not in lack, you're not in fear, you're not in doubt, you're not in worry, or you're not, and that can happen when you're worried about or thinking about ahead of time. So the key, and that's when the 8 then kind of comes in, because then you're an infinite source of that moment, of that time. And there is no lack. There is no fear. There is no doubt, because all you do really have is the now. You don't have yesterday. You don't have tomorrow. You only have now. So the more that you can ground yourself, and that's why you see with the 7s, the 4s are always around too, because the 4s bring the clarity, the time, the peace, in the moment, the focus, the stability. I look at the 7s as a seesaw, and the 4 is that middle point. When you can stay grounded in the moment, in the now, you're not seesawing, you're not swinging from one extreme to the other. And that's when I feel like you can really do a lot of attraction and manifestation, when you're not in a space of lack or not having enough, because you're just going to then bring more things to you that will show you don't have enough.
And also staying in and out with those 6s and the 7s. When you say that, I think of like asking myself, what are the 6s for the 7s? Dealing with the past, especially the 7 of Hearts, dealing with past and old relationships can be a hindrance for them a lot of times. Matters of the heart. 7 of Diamonds has a 6 of Hearts and Pluto. So dealing with family, they have a strong tie to relationships, so dealing with people, places, or things, or family members that and you're trying to have this abundant state of mind, but having people take you back or play on your heartstrings, or I wouldn't say degrade yourself, but not valuing yourself as who you should, in some type of sense, or caring about too much about what people say or what people think about you, and not maturing. So I think 7s, when I look at it, it's a bridge, as Will was saying, or a crossroad. You're going to cross this bridge to abundance, or you want to look behind you and worry about the past, or where you came from, and in some type of way. And the 7, and all of them have faith or fear, right? So that faith is crossing the bridge that is going to lead you to a better place or a better way, or within that crossroads, or knowing that going this direction is going to lead you to a better way, and you're not fearful of the past or where you came from. I'm going into a new way of life, whatever it may be, or breaking old habits for new habits, gaining a new routine, or daily work, some type of way, something that's going to push you to a better way of life, some type of way, So with the 7 of Spades, I have a 6 of Clubs and Pluto. Boy, oh boy, that mouth be running. So the 7 of Spades can't talk, so it can't lead them into some blessings, right? And using that gift of gab, but also their mind, an idle mind is the devil's playground, so if there's anything holding it back, it can maybe come from the mind or traumatic situations, maybe within the past, within their life, which could be holding them back. Also using that gift of gab in a good way, being optimistic, looking to the future, using that vision, that intuition, to see their way through the darkness or whatever it may be that can be causing them pain or holding them back as well.
Yeah, you can see the 2 of Clubs is their Mercury card too. So I mean, there's that right there. Is that blah, 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 blah. But again, are they operating from? Are they communicating? Because we know with the 2 of Clubs as well that they, are they operating from that faith or fear that supports it? That 7 of Spades pushes that 2 of Clubs for life too. So. And you'll see it in the spreads. The 7s and the 2s travel together as well, because a lot of times it's a relationship or someone else that's showing us or triggering us our fear, our doubts, our worries, our lacks, whatever it may be. So again, and what challenges the 2 of Clubs, the Ace, the self. Again, always back to self. It always will go back to self.
So
that it does.
That's where the Eight of Hearts sits, is sitting in the home of the Seven of Spades, and in the Seven of Spades crowns it. Someone was asking me about, was so confused about, not to say that you're just so confused, but it was a bit of confusion about the difference between a crowning card being a Mercury card, but the card that crowns you, you're that Neptune cards. So just to explain that a little bit. So if you look at the Eight of Hearts, the Seven of Spades crowns it or is above it. So if you're looking at something vertically, it would be the Mercury card. So Mercury would be the Seven of Spades, Venus, the Three of Spades, Mars, the Ten of Diamonds, Jupiter, the Four of Clubs, the Jack of Hearts, Saturn. Okay, so that's vertical. Those are, your vertical line, as Gina was saying, and I was saying it could be person, place, or things that come about, and show up in different ways. And the card that is under you, so now our focus is not the Eight of Hearts no more. If I'm going to be talking about Neptune, my focus now is the Seven of Spades and their spread. So, and the Eight of Hearts would be the Neptune. Okay. And also, I think we'll refer to it earlier without saying it directly. But if you're looking at the vertical card, that you can end up with that card being your Neptune, even vertically as well. Also, so made for more advanced period of time. Explain that a little bit better. But if you have more confusion, of course, that's what we're here for, consultations. Everyone is well adapted as far as within the information and knowledge can help you find whatever solution that you're looking for or explanation as far as what you're not seeing or understanding. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I taught the vertical card. I went into the vertical cards in that course that I taught last year because it's important. Like you have to look at it all. You know what I mean? You have to look at what, when you look at your spread, you're looking at your vertical cards because you can see how it, like I like to look at it from my natal chart perspective too, looking at both and how I can see, because I think for me, the Jack of Hearts, my vertical, when I want to touch the screen so bad. I want to use it, but I know I can't because it's on here, not my computer. But above me is the Ten of Spades, so it crowns me, but it is also my vertical Mercury card too, and hence my direct Mercury card is the Nine of Clubs. So I talk big, I talk loud. There's a lot, and my Mercury's in Leo, which is big, and gaining a lot of attention. I can attract a crowd with what I'm saying and what I'm speaking on a lot of times. Even prior to just being in this space, when I worked in the restaurant industry, I was, very vivacious in how I communicate with people. And I can be very direct with my words, but I always knew how to say it in a way that, I always had a very good way of saying something, especially if it needed more authoritative, but I could say it I always say it with a smile. You can get whatever you want. So, you could really, especially in that industry, in that space, if I had to cut somebody off from drinking, I could do it in a way that they would then ideally not become combative with me, because I could do it in a way that made you I'm caring about your well-being, however I would spin it. Right. But really, I just need you to not be a jerk and get out of my bar. But I also know how to read people and not approach them. You can tell when they were, we're going to be combative. Not all the time. Sometimes it would happen. But either way, I was, you can see that 9 and that 10 and how I communicate.
Speaking of drinking and addictions, I think that can come with the Eight of Hearts, Queen of Hearts as well.
Oh, for sure.
With food, alcohol,
sex, gambling, shopping.
Seven of Spades, I can say that I think they have hidden addictions. Seven of Diamonds can have some hidden addictions. Also, I refer to the Seven of Hearts as a drunken sailor. As Will was saying.
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't say that. What I was getting to, you said that they can be in a crowd by themselves. So what I was saying is they can go out.
Well, it's the seven in general. Seven in general. It's a card because if to give more, I guess, insight, if you will, when you look at the tarot, the Hermit can be representation of, even though it's not the seventh card, but it's actually, I believe, the ninth card. And you see the Hermit is a person or a monk. And you think of monks because they're connected with spirituality to whatever manifestation they have it in, because there's variations of what you call Shaolin temple monk and a Christian monk. And then out of those things become different houses. But the main thing is when you see a monk or whatever in their lifestyle, there is a point that they must surrender. Okay, it's either surrender, some people may say it's sacrifice. But the sevens become their own counsel, so to speak. And sometimes it is the communications of how to communicate that. If you're not like on the same page with a seven like that, because they can be deep, deep thinkers. And to convey that to somebody else that's not a deep thinker, that's very casual, you're not going to make the connection. There's not going to be a link up. So what they mean is like, you're in a crowd of people is an analogy of you being in a crowd. You know, people lively, and some people feel at home in the crowd. But a seven will be lonely in that crowd because they see things that normally may not be seen, aware of. And it's not that it's not apparent to everybody, but they just may tap into that. Sevens have that analytical point of them. They can be good troubleshooters. They like to do it. They can be worrisome, yes, but they tend to look at other things too as well. So that seven has that quality. And it's like kind of like when there's a saying coming up in the South, they see a child and they say that child's an old soul, meaning they've been more to one lifetime or so, whatever. They've been here before. They know things certainly that maybe they're maturer than their age bracket. So sevens, when that come in there. Now, sevens is not only the sevens, but we may have that seven. If you're a part of the 45 group, you will have that seven come in your life or weekly or monthly. And that's going to be a point where you'll see certain things that you may have not been accustomed to seeing before in a different shade of light. It's kind of like looking at a movie with 3D glasses. You don't see it, but when you put the glasses, it becomes open and aware, clear, and obvious. And that's really what the point of what they were trying to emphasize with that too. And it's similar to which you will see when your year comes up for the 45 cards. There's your pentacle year and there's the ascendant pentacle year. Well, it's good to be abreast with your yearly from the whole life from 0 to 99, if you will, which is when you go 100. But the pentacle year happens average. If a person's lifestyle, let's say average in their 70s, going to 80, will have 2 pentacle years. And once you see that pentacle year, if you had it or reflect on that year, because it's going to be an experience of a lifetime, because you're going to see again in an amplified manner, people, places, and things, as Gina and them and Rashad said, you will see that. But there's going to be a turning point. There's usually something now that can go either way, because again, we're talking about free will here. But when that happens, and if you're aware of it, I would advise you to keep note of that, to see that if it's coming up on there. And here's the trick you want to look at. When you are 45 and you have the 10 of spades, which Gina's talking about, as your displacement card, you will see you'll be in the step what they call ascent, beginning the ascent to your pentacle year. And in that pentacle year, you're going to find a definitely crown, because what it's going to represent, you're going to be displacing in about approximately 3 to 4 years, the 8 of diamonds.
You go through the mystic triangle. You go through the triangle, and then you get to.
Well, yeah, that's one version of it. Yeah, and pentacle, the center pentacle is that point too, because it represents. It's the same, different, but the name is the same. When that happens, yes.
Yep. No, it's not scary. It's actually part of your.
Oh, it wasn't intended to be scary.
No, the girl. Someone had made a comment. No, someone made a comment that it sounds.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Well, then to them, it's not scary.
Yeah, no, it's
a point to be aware. I think that's one of the advantages of using numerology, astrology, palmistry, if you will, because they have a timing technique too as well, and the cards as well. And there's even facial reading, which not really discussed about. There's a timing element that you want to look at. And that point is you have a great resource, whatever methodology that you're using will give you that. So it's to take advantage of that. It's not to be feared on it. Again, that could be going back to the 7, not knowing.
Right.
7 is about want to know. They have to be in the know of knowledge. So that's one of the things you want to embrace it. Now, you most likely, if you're about in the ages of your 50, you're going to already have one in your life. But look at the events. You're going to see certain people that came in your life. That's its own reflection. But you have an opportunity, providing, the timeline, you will have another one to take advantage of it. These things are just what I inform. It's just to inform people, not to disempower them. It's to empower them, so to speak, of knowing that. So
now you're going to sit. You're going to move from the, you go from the different points to get you to that ascension. And if you, a lot of that is doing a lot of internal work. And you can even see how it corresponds with what happened, in the age that you are, because there's probably a transit happening as well. That's, getting you.
Oh, it's definitely.
Right.
It all coincides.
Right. To getting you to break free of your old patterns so that you can achieve. And that's the thing. That's why these systems, whichever one you subscribe to, or all of them, can really help you in making decisions and how you move. It may be your work, your career, your family, all of it, relationships, because you can see, because really what happens when you pay attention to the patterns and the cycles is you move from karma card to karma card. That's all it is. You're moving from karma card to karma card. And you're going to sit in this house one year, and you're going to sit in the challenging karma card of that house. And you're going to sit in the challenging karma card of that next house. And so you'll see the patterns that it goes to. And all it is really is to grow, teach you your whole essence, like of your capabilities. Like I pay attention to where everybody moves to and where they're going to, because you can see the ascension that happens. Your whole life, you're really ascending to get to that point. Right. And then along the way, a lot of healing that can take place, a lot of growth that takes place, because I think you go from the 7 of clubs to the 8 of diamonds, because it's a challenging karma card. So you do have to kind of, get a grip of your mind and your thoughts and your beliefs. And that could be a year where those things are changing. You're seeing things from a different point of view so that you can have, that success that you desire. Because getting to that ascension, that crown line is there can be big things that happen to you that year, especially if you've been working at, like, maybe, I don't know, moving up in your job or your place of work or your place of business, or taking on more, or starting a business, or, you can get a lot of success when you sit up there. But again, if you haven't been doing the work and taking the effort, because that's the thing with that 8 of diamonds is it's a very consistent energy. It's a very persistent energy. I call the 8s like the Energizer bunnies. They just keep going and going and going. And so when you're pursuing something, there's a lot of effort and determination and persevering that comes with that, and really teaching you what you're capable of. What when you want something bad enough, you're going to put in the work.
And necessarily it's like part of this figure of it. And I'm using this word very loosely because it means different things to different people, but it could be a turning point in your destiny. And if you're aware of it, you can actually take advantage of it. Number one. Number two, there's another example of a card. It's your Pluto card out of the 45 root will happen. That year will significantly be a change and transform, because this is the element of life. We're about change. And then karma, I use that very loosely because it comes from the Sanskrit language. Loosely translation, all karma doesn't mean with past life. It doesn't mean what your future life is. If from Sanskrit, translates mean action. So in other words, whether you're into the reincarnate or not, actions bring about results or consequences of not taking the results. So it's better to be, as my school thought, to be better prepared and informed. And that's one of the reasons why I try to say loosely these words, because people use the word spirituality. Spirituality, the essence, the etymology of the word spirituality means breath, but it's associated with certain things of spirit. So like the old saying, perception is reality. So what you perceive may be necessary. You may be thinking on that path, but just take it, folks, with, what I said. If it doesn't relate, that's no problem. No problem. I don't have no problem with that. But I'm just saying, it's just to inform, certain things abroad. And I think that that's one of the things that Camp brought out in his book, his first actually book, which would be The Cards of Your Destiny. It's the first book that he actually goes into it. So for those who really want to get further acquainted with what I'm saying, that would be one of the starting points of books that you would start.
So with both of those points is being really important with the Eight of Hearts, is especially the breath part and the Six of Clubs and Mercury, So karma, taking responsibility of your actions. So we're right at maybe an hour 30.
Yay! We did it.
I know that we can probably go on for hours, of course, right? But recognizing, sitting in your stillness, recognizing the now with the Eight of Hearts, even through isolation, trials and tribulations, which you don't see, having faith, definitely one of the themes of the week, and letting go of control, and open your eyes up to maybe greener pastures or other options on the other side, possibly, right, with the Three of Diamonds, or other opportunities that can come about, maybe financially, creatively, or through maybe other people working together, right, through cooperation, and maybe even a little bit of compromise, potentially. So, in closing, was there anything else that you all wanted to say or speak about, maybe even towards the Nine of Hearts week coming up as well?
Nope, my heart's clear on that.
No, this was great. And yeah, we have the Nine of Hearts week coming up, right? And there's the Nine of Hearts is a very interesting energy. I don't with my spread, I don't get the Seven of Diamonds or the Nine of Hearts in my spread, but I that the nine energy is something that I have really had to understand and dive into, and it's your perception of how things, go, and you either going to hold on to it or you're going to allow it to flow. That's a big part of the nines, is not being attached. And, with the Nine of Hearts coming, it is going to be about our emotions and our feelings. And, are we able to kind of mature? Because I feel like the nines have a sense of, when you have to let go of something, there's a sense of maturity that comes with that, right? There's a sense of growth. It's a shedding of a skin. And a lot of times with the Nine of Hearts, you can find that you're a lot more emotional, and, people get, I remember I had someone hit me up and like, I'm so emotional, and I pull their spread and I'm like, oh, you got the Nine of Hearts all over. You got to let it go, let it out. There's it could be a lot of tears. It could be however you release, would be a big thing with that nine energy, is to not hold on. Know that there's always going to be the light at the end of the tunnel. There's always going to be something better. And that's what you have to kind of like go to, rather than being, I call the nines the light at the end of the tunnel, because again, 3 of the 4 nines actually transform into 10s. And when I looked at it from that perspective, I was like, oh, it just made me really like switch it. Instead of being like, it's a loss, it's a disappointment, it's doom, it's death. I was able to kind of look at it that even if something was ending and not fit, going on any further, that maybe was the best outcome, and that there's something even better is always can come in its place. But if you stay stuck to what was, ending or leaving or being fulfilled, you might never get to see that there could be something even bigger and better. So that's why I feel like it's a growth, it's a maturity, it's a shedding of the skin, so that you can actually see the bigger picture, right? Because that's the nines too. It's like you kind of come to this high point, you're on the cliff, and you're seeing it from a different point of view. So you can see it that, oh, okay, I understand why this had to end. Because for my own growth and my own, my own process of evolving, I could not stay here anymore. I had to let this go, whether it was a job, a relationship, whatever it might have been, because there was always, there's more to come. But I feel like if you can't see the more to come, or that I call it now the best is yet to come, you get stuck in that tunnel. You get stuck in the loss. You get stuck in the disappointment. And I'm not saying that things won't, that like, that's the other thing too, is like, it's it's okay for it to like be like, dang, I really wanted this. And I'm not saying you won't ever not be disappointed, but you don't have to stay there. That's where you choose how long are you going to stay in that essence and that energy of it being disappointing and a loss. You know, however people process their feelings, especially with it being the heart, it will be how you feel. A lot of emotional energy with that. So be able to let go, you know, be able to see it from a bigger picture. Know that the best is always gonna, you know, there's more to come.
Mm-hmm. And the Nine of Hearts transforms into a Two of Spades. So people, relationships, partnerships, you know. And like we were saying, sevens can be a bridge either to another side or also to people or to a elevated way of thinking, you know, to a higher mind, you know, not going backwards, and making sure you're putting yourself in the right situations and around the right people that can support that new attitude as well. You know? So the loss or the detriment can be something physically that you value or the people that could be value that you could value at that time. But seven of diamonds is a spiritual number, spiritual values as well, you know. So whatever you may value and the spiritual essence, you can be putting yourself around people that you can be gaining more insight, you know, that can teach you something different. You learn different ways of doing things. As we were saying, karma is built upon action, you know, also the breath and saying certain things, you know, speak things into existence, 7 clubs and Mercury, right? But also the actions that's put behind those words, you know, that come about. And also, I think sevens is a spiritual number because it's in between with the changes and the Pluto thing that we were talking about. I think, and what you were speaking about, I think even though we have plans, I think we get insight spiritually of certain things around us that may tell us to do something adverse to what we was thinking. So following those signs, things, or symbols, you know, even though your plans was this, something could happen. So making sure you're in tune with the now and seeing where your intuition is taking you to make sure that you're protecting yourself from things that you may not see, you may not know of now. You know, it's like having that conversation with God or whoever your higher power is, and keeping you protected from things that you do not see, things that you don't know. So you can keep your faith up. You know, I think some people channel by talking to themselves. You know, some people channel by observation of seeing what's around them. You know, so however that may be, getting in tune with that, as you were talking about, with the going into the different spreads and working with the challenging card 1 year, then it's supporting the next year, you know, through that ascension within the cards. You know, we're all learning lessons, you know, so there are things that we haven't experienced from year to year, and the next year you're going to have a different lesson, you know. So during that ascension, there's going to be things you don't know, you don't see, but there can be clues and signs that can help you now. That's could be a challenge, and it could be a blessing to you in the future. So being observing from year to year is what we're here for, you know, observing the cards and taking a look at what could be possibly challenging you and maybe supporting you next year. So 9 of Hearts, 7 has another 2 sevens. So look at that, right? 8 of Hearts, 2 sevens, and the 9 of Hearts, 2 sevens, right? So we have a 2 sevens this week, double 7, same 7 diamonds, 7 of diamonds going into next week. So really a challenge, right?
Well, but I'd love, like, real quick, how that 9 of Hearts transforms to the 2 of Spades. Because the 2 of Spades is like the ultimate partnership card, right? It's the ultimate bond between two people with that spade energy. But again, to have that connection, there can't be the attachment. Again, it's all about releasing and letting go and giving from the overflow to create a more connection without the friction and the adversity and the challenges that partnerships have. When we are not attached to outcomes, when we don't put these unreasonable demands and expectations on others, we then have better bonds and better unions because we understand. I think there's that does not, and also with the nines, again, not like being able to let go, not having to hold on so dearly will actually help you to connect to other people from a space of, understanding, okay, this is you, this is me, and when we can release all the expectations and the conditions, the disappointments, the hurts, we can actually come together, more harmoniously, more connected at a deeper space because we're not attached to, that outcome. I think it's fascinating how it transforms to a space.
Yeah, and the seven of diamonds, letting go of those attachments, and like I said, it could be seen as a challenge, but we'll see you all next week. Appreciate you, Will. Appreciate you, Gina.
Likewise, y'all.
Yes,
and the fam, appreciate y'all. And if anything that I may have been misleading or confusing, my apologies. But if you want something else, if you can contact me on my social media, my IG account. You can leave a note. I'll reference to questions that was done. I'll do that much, and for that. And just support the channel and us too as well. Likes and subscribes are appreciated.
Most definitely. Thank y'all. Have a nice one.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Peace.
Glow. She I don't know, she don't plug herself enough, but amazing. Talking about healing. The Eight of Hearts is a healing power. There's also physical healing within this card. I think we've talked about it a little bit, but of course, make sure you get some in. Well, and I don't want to magnesium. Go ahead, Gina. Go.
Thank you. Yeah, no, you can. With the heart energy, there's a lot of love in what I do in my products. So I'm really grateful for all the support. It feels good to help people. That's been my thing from the jump, So creating, and actually next week I won't be on because I'm actually doing a show here in Orlando for the weekend. So I won't be here because I'll be promoting my products and doing it's actually called Spirit Fest. Yeah, it's called Spirit Fest. It's a metaphysical show. So I'm like, oh, it's perfect. And I used to do it before too, so it'll be good to get back out and doing shows. That's where I really shine, when I'm in front of people like that, not on a camera. But yeah, when I'm in front of people, it's my wheelhouse. I like it. I like sharing my story and listening to people talk about their things that they're dealing with, so that I can help them. And it's funny, I could probably do readings here too, but I was like, no, let me stick to my one wheelhouse, and maybe later on down the road I can go out there and do readings. But yeah, the products are my baby. I love helping people feel better. It's a big thing for me. So thank you guys. This was fun. And yeah, we're going into it. I think Danielle asked, we're ending an 8 of Hearts week today, and we start a 9 of Hearts week tomorrow.
Okay. The 9 of Hearts.
To you, Gina.
Thank you. I love it. It's fun.
All right. So what was the Black Messiah movie? Who was that based upon?
It was actually not about Fred Hampton, but the person that portrayed. It's COINTEL. 25 words or less. They was infiltrated, and there was a person that infiltrated in there, and that's, if one of you can look at the picture or do it's available research. That's what is kind of what I've seen.
But it was but Fred Hampton was the starring person, right?
It wasn't. He was there. It was about him, but it was more about this character that did the trade. They focused him as the main character was the guy that did the betrayal and how it kind of manifests. But yes, it was Fred Hampton, but it didn't really focus as much. And he did have a lot to do in the picture. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, to me, what my perspective they're talking about is kind of like the Black Judas or something they call it.
Yeah, I was just saying that Fred Hampton's a 9 of Hearts. So
my bad.
But Fred Hampton was a 9 of Hearts, if I believe. So his thing was, I'm for the people, So as Gina was saying, it's even Hearts, that's their mission, supposed to be for the people. It's not maybe about the material value. So within the 9s, it's all about giving within this week, doing things for the people, and that giving could be something that you're holding on to, So going out and letting go, giving to the people, elevating.
That's really important, Rashad. That's a big thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I noticed that with the 9 energy, like that it's a remedy. Like if you're hurt, if you're sad, if you're disappointed, one of the best things that will uplift you out of that, at least in my opinion, what I've noticed for me, is to give to someone else, to do something for someone else, to pour into. I remember specifically a situation. I don't remember if my card was the 9 that day, and it wasn't the 9 of hearts because I don't get that card in my spread, but it was a 9, and I was sad about something. I don't remember exactly what, because I remember I had a friend who I had gone to school with, and just, connecting on social media, Facebook, and he was going through a really tough time with cancer. And I'm very big about helping people, on an herbal side and bringing different remedies to them. And I remember I went to the herb store. I went and got him all the same stuff I had been sending my aunt, who was dealing with cancer. And I was like, what's your address? And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just going to send you all this stuff. And that, whatever I was feeling that day that was bringing me down, that I was sad about, doing that for him was by far, like, it felt so good that I don't even remember what I was upset about. So that is, like, if you get to that space this week that we're coming into, like, it'll feel so good to because they're humanitarians, they're givers, and this is going to be a giver of love. It feels good to, pour in, but at the same time, you have to be careful of the one of the other side of those 9s is when to say no, when to have those boundaries, because that's the other side of that, is it can overdo it, overcompensate, right? And then it's depleting itself in the process. So you have to be very mindful of that. But I will say that when that was going on, that it kind of like reshifted my purpose, that like where I was at, I was stuck in something and being upset or disappointed about something or sad. And that doing that for him and being able to send him the herbs and some of my products, just, as a, here, take this, try this. It felt good. It was it feels so good to do that. So that's a big part of that energy, I think, too.
So make sure that you all goes this week. I know we said we're going to be out here a lot of times. Before anything else comes to our mind, we're going to go. All right, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Give out of love, So see y'all next week. And we may change up the day through this week as well. Just depends. But let you all know. I'll talk to you.
Let me know, because I could do in the evening. I'll be home. I'm just gone Saturday day and Sunday day all day. So we can, if you want to switch it up this week, we can.
Okay, cool. All right. See y'all next week, maybe in the evening, and have a blessed one.
Bye, guys.
You too.
Peace.